A presentation of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service.
All through the long history of mankind, the eagle has been revered as a symbol of power and freedom. In the United States, the bald eagle, our national symbol, is on our money, our stamps, our presidential seal, on our flagpoles. It's even been to the moon.
The eagle has landed.
This majestic bird, unique to this continent, is portrayed on countless products and logos, featured on the letterheads of innumerable businesses and associations, endlessly sculptured and painted, all trying to harness the strength, gracefulness, and freedom that the eagle symbolizes. But to many Native Americans, the eagle, both the bald and the golden eagle, is much more than a logo or a product name. The eagle has, for centuries, been a sacred element in their lives.
To Indian people, the eagle is sacred. And it's all Indian tribes, all 500 tribes that exist today. The eagle is a sacred animal. It means so much to each one of the tribes. And it has different meanings for each of the individual tribes. And it's a very special relationship that has been a part of Indian religion since the beginning of time.
Unfortunately, for much of America's history, the eagle's symbolic stature as an icon of power, freedom, and spirituality did little to protect it from being killed by poaching, poisons, pesticides, electrocution, and habitat destruction. By the late 1930s, eagle populations in the continental U.S. were in a steep downward spiral. Alarmed at the sad state of the nation's symbol, Congress passed the Bald Eagle Protection Act in 1940, later amending the act in 1962 to include the golden eagle. In 1973 came the Endangered Species Act, which listed the bald eagle as endangered. These federal laws protected eagles and other species in trouble, while recovery efforts were made to increase their numbers. The laws, backed by stiff fines and even jail, prohibited anyone from killing, harassing, or even possessing as much as a feather from a protected species. Not even state or federal officials are allowed to handle or possess listed species without a written permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. While well-intentioned, these laws proved hard on many Native Americans who traditionally used eagle feathers and other eagle parts in their religious ceremonies. To remedy this unfairness, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service created the National Eagle Repository in the early 1970s. The repository serves as the central collection point for all dead eagles in the United States and passes them on to Native Americans. To request eagle feathers for religious purposes, a Native American must first apply for a permit. Once the application has been approved, the request is filled under a first-come, first-served basis. To receive an application, Native Americans should contact the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Migratory Bird Permit Office in the region where they live. A 3-page application with an instruction sheet will be sent to them.
The first page of the application is a shipping request, which is basic information, name, address, date of birth, just the general information plus what they're requesting to receive, whether it's a whole eagle or parts. Then attached to that sheet is the BIA certification that certifies their BIA affiliation with the tribe. The third form to the application is the religious certification that has to be signed by their religious leader.
The completed application is returned to the applicant's Regional Migratory Bird Permit Office.
At this point, a letter of information and instruction is sent to the applicant, verifying that their application was received complete and has been forwarded to the National Eagle Repository.
Once approved, the Eagle Repository receives only the shipping request part of the application. This tells us what the individual is ordering, what species of bird, what type of feathers they need. When the repository receives this request, we then put it in order by date that it was received. And this is the most equitable way that the service can ensure that each applicant is treated fairly and every request is processed equally. The repository relies heavily on our state and federal wildlife personnel as a major source of birds for the repository. Thousands of birds die every year from natural causes.
Well, I'll generally find I'm estimating between 6 to 10 eagles a year. I'll get a phone call from somebody who says they've either found an eagle on the side of the road or underneath a power line or lying someplace. I'll go out and basically just survey. It's kind of like any kind of criminal investigation. You got to go and look at what's causing it. If there's nothing wrong, if it's just a roadkill or electrocution, you pick it up. I generally carry a supply of plastic bags with me, and I'll put the eagle into the plastic bag, and then I transport it to a freezer unit that I have. Then I'll make a phone call to the Eagle Repository over in Denver, and they'll ship me out either a cooler or a box. And what I do then is just take it and put the eagle into the box securely, make sure there's a lot of styrofoam or some kind of packing material around it to keep the eagle from shifting. Put the self-addressed label on it, which is already paid for and everything, and take it down to the post office and send it back to the repository. It's a pretty simple process when you get into it.
When the repository receives the eagle carcasses from the field, they are assigned a number for tracking and accountability purposes. Each carcass is then evaluated as to its condition, and every feather on the carcass is looked at, and notes are kept.
When we receive an eagle in, say like from an eagle rehabilitator or a state division of wildlife or one of our federal agents with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, I look the birds over for several different things, just mostly things that I know that are important to Native Americans. And what I do as I look the bird over normally is when I determine what type of bird it is, as far as whether it's bald or a golden eagle and what age it is, I will go look over the entire bird, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, and I note all the problems that it has so that I can tell the Native American when I call them, to tell them I've got an eagle for them and to see if they're interested in this particular eagle. Basically, when I get a bird, the first thing I start with is start looking at the head. The head is not important to all Native Americans. Some don't necessarily care whether they receive an eagle head or not, but there are a number that do want a good eagle head. So this particular bird has a really nice head, and incidentally, as you can obviously see, most people recognize this as an adult bald eagle with a solid white tail and a white head. Then I usually turn it over, and one thing I've gotten accustomed to doing initially is these wings are a little bit frozen, but I try to spread the wings out a little bit underneath and just take a glance underneath the wings, because we get a number of birds that have been electrocuted. Then I usually go and check the claws, make sure the claws, it's got sharp talons and the claws just basically look normal. Another thing that's very important to Native Americans, especially to Native American women, is these tail plumes right here. A lot of them like to wear these in their hair, so you kind of really like to watch out and make sure they're there and that they're in reasonably good shape. From there, I usually go ahead and turn the bird back over, and I want to make sure that there's 12 tail feathers there. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So all 12 are there. And now I'm just going to go back through and just kind of glance for condition to make sure that there's no signs of any damaging. And this happens to be a really nice bird. It's a little ruffled there, but no damage to the feather. And then I go over to the wing, and I'm going to kind of spread it out here, and we divide it up by primaries and secondaries. You can kind of see the dividing line there. These are what we call the primary feathers. We want to make sure that there's 10 primary feathers there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I kind of go back through and look those over for condition. There again, that one's a little bit ruffled, but he's not hurt. He can be straightened out. Then I go through the secondaries here, and normally I'll count, make sure there's about 14 secondaries there. I'll go back and check for condition right there. Some of the stuff I'm looking for, I've got a broken secondary. So when I call the Native American, I'll offer to give him a loose feather to replace this one right here. I noted that one left secondary. I just noted this bird had really nice plumes and just a nice eagle overall.
Every eagle is so important to the repository to receive that it doesn't matter what condition it's in. If it's been laying out in the field for weeks or months, doesn't matter the condition, we would like to receive it. What we do is we will salvage, even if it's a single feather off of this carcass, to use in filling these eagle requests. If it's maggot infested, if it's got an open carcass, or if it's half deteriorated, we don't care. We want every carcass that is found out there. Even if it's a pile of feathers, we will go through this pile and pick out what is usable.
The feathers salvaged from severely damaged golden and bald eagle carcasses are used to replace missing or damaged feathers on the eagles sent out. Native Americans can also apply for up to 15 loose feathers. A separate list is maintained, and the wait is usually much shorter.
Even got a magpie.
Other birds, such as hawks, owls, and hingas, even magpies, are occasionally requested, and the order will be filled if one is available.
Before the repository ships a bird to an individual, a phone contact is made. And this is to ensure that we do have a current address for the individual, and also to let the individual know the condition of the bird that he is going to be receiving. We will let them know if it has an open carcass, or if it has blood on it, or if it's a little bit smelly, just so that the recipient is not shocked when he opens the package.
This particular bird came in with a damaged head. If that concerns you, if you're concerned about having a good eagle head, what I'll do is try to find you a loose one to put in along with your shipment to help make up for that.
As they come in is how they go out. We leave the cleaning process up to the recipient so that they can do whatever is necessary on their part to clean these feathers and to do what they need to do with them. Many people do like to bury the carcass themselves. They will part the bird and then do a ceremony whereby they bury the carcass. And so we leave all of this up for the recipient. We don't do any of that here.
No, it won't cost you anything at all. It's totally paid for by the service. And that's all I need. You're welcome. Goodbye.
Carcasses that are received at the Eagle Repository within a week are shipped the following week. No carcass is kept any longer than a week. They're processed as they come in, and they're shipped out the very next week. Once the call is made and the recipient accepts the eagle, the bird is then shipped 1 or 2 days later. The birds are shipped in boxes with 5 pounds of dry ice to ensure that they are received in a somewhat good condition. They are shipped frozen, and we also ship an overnight mail. So this ensures the individual, receives the carcass as quickly as possible and in as good a condition as we can get it to them.
Included in the shipping crate is a receipt and a temporary permit. Once the receipt is signed and returned, the official permit allowing possession of the bird is mailed to the recipient.
The National Eagle Repository right now has approximately 4,500 requests from individuals who are applying for eagle feathers. An average year for the repository on eagles received is about 1,000. This is why our waiting period is 2.5 to 3 years. Each individual must wait until their name comes up on the list in order to receive an eagle, and that takes 2.5 to 3 years right now. We really need more eagles to meet this demand. These feathers are so important to these people, they are willing to wait the 3 years to receive these feathers.
Jerome Redhouse, a Navajo tribal member, applied 3 years ago for his eagle. Yesterday he received his eagle in the mail, and today came to the reservation to have it purified by a medicine man. Only then will he remove the feathers.
Every part of the eagle, as far as us Navajos, we use. And it's not, you know, we have a lot of ceremonies for different ceremonies, and we use every part of the eagle for that purpose. And it's not just going to, you know, go to waste. Even the guts, it's going to help out somebody as far as healing in the ceremony is concerned. And you know, even the bones, we use the bones too.
You get sick, you have problem, and so a certain way we use ceremonies to release the sickness, the spirit in your body. That's why we use the eagle feathers. It's release something from your body, and also to pray. And we do go through the ceremony, people get well. That's why it's so important for this purpose to use the feathers.
It's very important, you know, it's not just me, but, you know, for all the Navajos out there, different type of Indians. It's very sacred, you know, it's religious, it's religion for us. It's, you know, it's a great deal, you know, it means a lot to us. I can't really explain in words what it means to me, but, you know, I just want to thank everybody that's involved in this program, and thank them all the good job, the good work they're doing. And you know, you're not just helping just myself, but you're helping a lot of people in the process too.
The Lakotas have a great value in this bird. They use it from today, as we see many celebrations, many powwows. We see traditional dancers using the feathers for this reason, which is again a celebration of life on the social aspects. Well, eagle feathers in old history were a very powerful medal, so to speak, that was given to warriors for their accomplishments, not only in counting coups, but doing good things for the people.
Now, I got this feather from the Cheyenne tribe because of my work with education for the Arapaho people. And a feather is used, one feather is given to a person who established a recognition on what he has done. I didn't get 20 or 30, but just one for doing all that work for 5 or 6 years.
Today we honor our children when they've been successful in the educational system. We will often tie an eagle feather in their hair to recognize this as an accomplishment similar to what would have been done traditionally among our people for somebody who would have counted coup or been recognized in battle.
For those of us who live outside of our homelands, we still carry these things in the utmost respect, whether it is in a powwow, whether it is in a time of tragedies, of grief, for instance, how we use the symbol to give us strength to continue on in our lives.
Seeing an eagle in the wild is one of the most thrilling sights in America today. Hello, I'm Jamie Rappaport Clark, Director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We take our responsibility for providing eagles to Native Americans very seriously. We are doing everything we can to promptly send eagles to Native Americans who have applied. Unfortunately, the wait is long because there are many more applicants than eagles available for distribution. The good news is that eagle populations have been steadily increasing. In 1994, my predecessor, Molly Beatty, released an eagle named Hope to celebrate the recovery of the bald eagle. Bald eagle populations have grown to the point that they are no longer in danger of extinction. I appeal to all Fish and Wildlife employees and other wildlife professionals to contact the National Eagle Repository in Denver for assistance in sending in eagles. Your help will be greatly appreciated. Dennis West at the repository expresses what many of us in the service feel about this program.
I feel like I'm doing something really important, not just for Native Americans, but for people in general, because by helping to protect the religious freedom rights of Native Americans, I feel like it's protecting everybody's right of religious freedom.
For information about sending dead eagles to the National Eagle Repository, call 303-287-2110. Native Americans interested in receiving eagle feathers contact the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Migratory Bird Permit Office in your region.